Right, we are looking at 44 today. It's section 6.2, and we are staying with similar polygons. So it says determine whether each pair of figures is similar. Justify your answer. Guys, we need two things to be similar. One, we need corresponding angles. So make these little notes again. Corresponding angles must be congruent. That's the first thing we need. Corresponding angles must be congruent. The second thing we need are corresponding sides. Corresponding sides must be proportional. So there are two checks for us. Two things that have to happen. Any corresponding angles have to be congruent. Any corresponding sides have to be proportional. So one of the things I was noticing yesterday when people were doing their worksheet and Delta Math is they weren't matching up the sides when the figures were spun. So you do need to make sure these figures are in the same layout. Okay, we can see the shortest side, middle side, longest side. We can see these figures have the same matching angles, so it's just a dilation where this is taken and blown up. We're going to come back to this. These are the same, right? They're in the same place. But then you see how this one's rotated? This is what was getting people, is they were missing the idea that something was rotated, especially with rectangles. They just did the top with the top and sides with the sides. So you need to look and see these two angles match up here, and these two angles, this matches up here. So you really need to look and see that this was rotated to match up the sides. Okay, so I'm going to come back up to here. Determine if they are similar and then justify your answer. So let's dig in to this first one. Whenever I go to look at this, I see that this is 59 and that's 35. Okay, so this angle does match with this one. This angle matches here. If these two angles are the same, then the third angle must be the same. There is only 180 degrees in each triangle. So if you would take 180, take away the 59, and take away the 35, you end up with 86 degrees. So both of these, take away the 59, the 35, you get 86 degrees. Both of them have the same top angle. So we do have congruent angles. Check, done. Now, are our sides proportional? Okay, so this was check one, congruent angle. Step two, do we have proportional sides? That's my next question. So here's how I prove it. I'm going to take the 6 over the 4, and I just have a habit of starting with whatever's on the left or whatever's on the top. So the 6 goes with 4, come back to here. 9 corresponds with the 6, and 10.5 corresponds with the 7. Now, rather than worrying about reducing fractions, I'm going to go ahead and just divide and get each decimal. So you would take 6 divided by 4. I'm not even using the fraction key, I'm using division. I get 1.5. And some of you would recognize this would be the same 3 halves, 3 halves. So we would also get 1.5 again by dividing this. And then this is the one you might have to think about some. If we double it, we get 21 over 7. So let's take our 10.5 and divide it by 7, or sorry, 21 over 14, and we also get 1.5. So all of my ratios are equal, so my sides proportional. So these are similar, and we have justified our answer by checking our angles and by checking our proportionate sides. Okay, so nothing new, same thing we've been doing. If you come over here, does anybody know what this is called, what this specific shape is called? Well, generically, we can call it a quadrilateral. We can get more specific and call it a parallelogram because the angles are not right angles. So it's not a rectangle, it's not a square, but even more specifically, this is called a rhombus. And that's the one that people forget about. All 4 sides are equal, but the degrees are not 90. So a rhombus is like a parallelogram with 4 equal sides. Okay, so we've already checked that the angles match up and the angles are congruent. So step 1, congruent angles, done. Step 2, proportional sides. Guys, yeah, absolutely, because all the sides are the same. Every side is 3 over 7.5 the whole way around it. So just double check that everything's the same. 3 over 7.5, that is all going to be the same, so these are similar. All right, so there you go. All right, let's look at this next set. It says each pair of polygons is similar. So they're telling us these are similar. Write a similarity statement, okay? Find x and the measure of the indicated side or sides, and then the scale factor. Okay, so I think I might have taken the scale factor out, but we're going to have that as we work with this. So here is what we want to find. We want to find GH. And if you look at our worksheet, everything's laid out. We have the similarity statement, we have x, we want our work, and then a final place for you to show GH. So we know they're similar. We know all the sides pair up, so I don't have to show that. The similarity statement, A, B, C, D, okay, here it is. A goes with E, B goes with F, I'm looking at the markings, C goes with G, and D goes with H. Whenever you have something more than 3 sides, like if it was a triangle, we put a little triangle symbol, but whenever you have a quadrilateral or a pentagon or something bigger, you just list the points. No lines, just the points. Okay, now we got to find x. So how do I do that? Well, x is right here, and x goes with this. So I'm going to do 13 over x. That's what I need. The 13 goes with the x. And then, guys, I have all the other sides. I just need to pick one. So I'm going to go with 14 over 7. So 13 to x equals 14 to 7. All right, so if I cross multiply, I would get 13 times 7, and that is 91, equals 14 times x. Divide both sides by 14. What does x equal? Should be 6.5. Well, that makes sense. And the reason it makes sense that x is 6.5, 14 divided by 2 is 7. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 25 divided by 2, or 26 divided by 2 is 13. So 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. And they want us to find GH, and that is just 6.5. All right, so x is 6.5. GH is 6.5. And they did ask us about the scale factor. Well, we are not focusing on that, but the scale factor is 1/2. Because we take the first figure and we take half of it to get the second figure. Okay, so we go from first figure to second figure. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. There's a little bit more to it. We need to find ST and SU. We know that these are similar. So triangle, so here's your triangle symbol, W to XY. Triangle, okay, W goes with S. Then they came to the left, so STU. Now, when I go to find this, I have more information than I need, okay? The problem is if I take 4 over x plus 5 equals 4 over x plus 5, that doesn't help me. So let's do one of the unknowns, 4 over x plus 5, and set it to one side that we know, which is the base 3 over 9. And I call that a base because it is an isosceles triangle, legs and base. So again, we want one unknown with one set of known. Okay, when we cross multiply this, it is 4 times 9, which is 36, and that equals 3 times x plus 5. So we talked about this in detail about making sure we distribute. 36 equals 3x plus 15, and then let's solve it. Subtract 15. I get 21 equals 3x, and then go ahead and divide. We should get x is, no, I don't get, yeah, 36. All right, did you get 7? Now that's x. So I'll put that up here. I need to find ST. Well, I'm going to come back to my figure. ST is x plus 5, so 7 plus 5, and what do I get? 12. And this is also 12. So ST is 12, and SU is 12. Now, the scale factor, if you want the detail, we went from 3 to 9. That's 3 times. So if you're thinking about the scale factor, we multiplied by 3. okay? One of the things you need to know is you have to determine it's 3 times 3 gave me 9, 4 times 3 gives me 12, and then I could have found that x was 7 going that way. All right, so let's go ahead and flip it over. We are doing the same thing on these two examples. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to pause this video and try these two examples here. So looking at number 5, the similarity statement, P has 1 mark, it goes with U. So this has definitely been spun around. Q goes with V, the R goes with W, and S goes with T. Are we good there? Like you can't have it mixed around. Now, if you would have named it yourself, you might have in different order, but P and U have to be together, Q and V. Okay, now, here's the deal. To find this, I only have 2 pieces of information. So the 9 goes from 4 marks to 3. So I'm going to go with 9 goes with x plus 1. So 9 over x plus 1 equals, and then I'd go with 5 goes with this. Now, this is a little bit of a hairy situation because we don't always like fractions, but we can handle it. So I'm going to take 9 times 10 thirds, and maybe you used your calculator to help you, and that's fine. Then I have 5 times x plus 1. I've got to do better about writing and showing what I'm doing. It's bad, guys. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to use my cross-canceling skills, and I get 30. But you could use your calculator, take 9 times 10 thirds, and then I'm going to distribute, and that would be 5x plus 5. And then I'm going to find x by moving any addition or subtraction. So 25 equals 5x. And divide both sides by 5. X is 5. Did we agree with that? Anybody? Okay, that sounds good. Now that I got x is 5, it wants me to find WT. So that would be 5 plus 1, and I get 6. So WT is 6. If you want the scale factor, you would take 9 times what would give me 6? 9 times 2/3. So there is a scale factor. And again, that's a little more than we're worried about. But just to put it in there, scale factor is 2/3. So what's it take to get there? All right, go ahead. Let's do number 6. We have right triangles. These are definitely either spun around or flipped. So we have to determine what's what. When you look at this, angle L, this is the short side. This is the short side. So L goes with T. Triangle T. And then M, the right angle, goes with S. And then N, the smaller of the angles, goes with P. So TSP. Okay, now to find X, we have 2 unknowns. We're going to mark the 8, and that's the short side, goes with the short side. So this is spun around. 8 goes over x minus 1, and that would equal 10 over x plus 2. Okay, so now we need to cross multiply. You want to check your setup. So if you're doing these and you don't want to spin your wheels, it might be worth checking your setup with us. Then we're going to cross multiply, and that means we do need to distribute. That's key, that everything gets the 8 and everything gets the 10. So 8x plus 16 equals 10x minus 10. You guys are pretty good with equation solving. So I'm going to say most of you seem to want to keep the x positive. So cross the line, change the sign. You get 16 equals 2x minus 10. And then here's my x, so I'm going to add and subtract to get rid of things. And I get 26 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. And I get x is 13. Okay, so that's my x. And then they asked me to find TS and SP. So I'm going to take my 13, I'm going to go back up. TS is 13 minus 1, which is 12. And x plus 2, so 13 plus 2, which is 15. Okay, so TS 12, S or PS 15. So put those down there. And then if you want the scale factor, how do I go from 8 to 12, well, I'm getting smaller, so I'd like to, or I'm sorry, I'm getting bigger, so I'd like to say it's 4/3. Is that true? 4 fraction 3. No, it is not 4/3. I have to think about this for a minute. So 8 to 12, let's think about that. Okay, it took me a minute. I had the right idea in my head. So how do I find this? It's 8 times something would give me 12. That's how I find the scale factor. Okay, so a little above and beyond what we need. 8 times something gave me 12. And so I divide those sides by 8. And I was thinking that, but in my head I had 4/3. But it really is 3/2 or 1.5. Okay, there you go.